My name's Elise Honnold, and I'm from Spokane, Washington. This is Reika. She's the first Lhasa Hong that I imported. She's about to turn 3 years old. She just recently got the first IGP1 title for the breed in the world. She's just a really fun, all-around working companion dog. She's also a certified therapy dog. The first documented history is roughly 1898 when the German colonialists came to China. So they brought over German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Great Danes, and they bred them with a bunch of different Chinese breeds. The Shandongxian Hound, the Kunming Wolf Dog, a few other different native Chinese breeds. They wanted really an all-around working dog. So they wanted a dog that could work on the farm, a dog that was good at protection, a dog that was also able to do hunting and be a companion. The German colonialists really needed a dog that could work on their farms, so they started working and breeding dogs that were very good herding dogs that also could pull carts in their weight. There's also different regions that needed hunting dogs, and most that I've seen have been used for hunting wild boar and things like that, big game. They needed a dog that could really do pretty much everything they needed it to do, as well as protection. And they also wanted their dogs to be able to thrive in social settings, and so they have a bit of a companion aspect to it, and they aren't crazy non-stop working dogs. They have a really nice off switch. I was looking for a new breed. I originally had Ridgebacks, and the more I got involved in the dog sport world, I realized I wanted more of a working dog. I have experience with Malinois. I can't stand the hair. I love their working drive, but the hair just got it for me. Kind of took German Shepherds out of the picture as well. I also am not a big fan of dogs that could drool excessively, so pretty much every other protection breed drools aside from a Doberman. And a Doberman, their health problems are just too high for me to be willing to really get away from a really healthy breed as the Ridgeback to a breed that has so many prone issues. Somewhere in that journey, I stumbled across these guys, and I kind of just fell in love. I researched the breed for a little over a year, followed a couple different breeders that were prominent in the UK. As soon as I saw her breeder have a litter of puppies, I pretty much was begging him from the day she was born. He often keeps all of his good dogs to work until they're a year, 2 years old, and sells them as fully trained protection dogs. When she was 12 weeks, he hadn't sold her yet, and I got a message asking if I wanted to buy her. So that's kind of the first dog that I got. It is different now, yeah. I mean, when I did it, it wasn't too terrible, but that was before the 6-month rule, which really sucks now because those young ages are crucial when you have a dog that you want to be working to really get them proper training and socialization. The second dog that I imported, Taco, I was told that there would be no socialization. They didn't allow people at their house, and that if I wanted her socialized, I had to pay for her to be trained as well, which I didn't want to have a dog be trained, because that's the whole reason I'm getting the dog. If you have a dog that is being trained for public access at that age, you're not building their drives, and you're typically squashing them somewhat. Wasn't something I really wanted, and so now having to wait until they're 6 months old is kind of problematic. I also had no idea about the dog's temperament. In fact, Reika's breeder is really the only one that shared with me. She's the only one I knew what I was getting with. Everybody else was just kind of a gamble as far as what the temperament was going to be like, because there was a lack of videos and all-around communication. Typically, they're supposed to be 25 to 32 inches tall. Females aren't typically supposed to be above 28 inches, which is a pretty big range. So you can have some that are fairly short and then some that are really tall. They're supposed to be pretty proportionate. Their bodies should be longer than they are tall. Elbows should extend to their chest. They should have a nice deep chest. The bridge of the nose shouldn't have bumps on it, which a lot of the breeds do, or a lot of the lines do. And if you look into the lineage of where these dogs were created from, the Shandongzian Hound is a breed that had a very flat face, kind of like that of a Bull Terrier. And there's people that will compare certain lines and say that they're mixed with Bull Terrier, but it's where the breed comes from. So it's not abnormal for something like that to show up more so than others. Typically, females are between 77 and 110 pounds, and males run from 88 to 130. The breed's temperament is very biddable. They love to work, they love to please you. They can be stubborn at times, but if you know what you're doing with training, they're an extremely easy dog to train. They're a lot of fun to work with. They love the water. They get along really well with other dogs. They are very protective in nature of their home. It's very natural for them to be super protective. They tend to be very neutral in public though, which is really nice for a protection dog. So the only known health issues that we've discovered so far is hips and elbows, and you've got to be super careful with what lines you pull from because some of the lines are very severely dysplastic. But I was able to find Garcia, who currently still has the best scores in the world for hips and elbows, and so there are lines that have consistent good hips and elbows. You just got to be careful with that. The only other thing that we've really seen pop up is DM, which is 100% preventable through ethical breeding. So in China, they say the life expectancy is 14 to 16 years. There's a lot of people that say they still have very actively working dogs at 9-10 years old. So owning such a rare dog breed like this is a lot of fun. You get to really kind of be part of a foundation of something and help make the breed better. It can be somewhat annoying at times because you can't go anywhere without people stopping you and asking you what that dog is, which I have no problem. I actually enjoy it most of the time, but sometimes it gets a little bit annoying, especially when people like to try and tell me that it's a Doberman mix. So my focus is on IGP. It's a sport that I've just really fallen in love with. I love that these dogs can do sport work like that and also be a really nice part of the family and have a super good off switch. So finding dogs that have super solid health, genetics, hips and elbows especially, along with the different drives that we need to be successful in those types of sports is really what I'm focused on, which is easier said than done. I've imported a couple of litters. I had my first breeding and the first breeding done in the USA. It was born in September. I'm doing IGP with one of those dogs. Another one is in Nevada doing some bite stuff. She's still kind of figuring out which sport she wants to do. In the future, I intend to breed Garcia, which is probably, aside from her daughter, my highest drive foundation dog. She's also has the best hips and elbows in the world, which is really nice to have. I tested all of her puppies from her second litter and over half the puppies from her first litter, and one of the boys that I tested has the best male hips in the world now. The girls that I tested, one has a tie for her score and the other one has equivalent to OFA good. It was like 1 and 4. So I have really solid lines there, which kind of excited to see what I can do with that. Just got to find some nice males to bring in to the program. They don't really require too terribly much energy. I mean, they're really nice all around family dog. And there's always an exception, like 1 or 2 from each litter that might be a little bit more needy than others. But typically if you take them out, take them on a nice walk where they can kind of run around a bit, they chill pretty nicely in the house and they don't get crazy. This is Elise from Leizahongs of Elysium. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Reika, and I encourage you to do more research about the breed and get to know them. There's only about 70 in the US, so you'll be lucky if you get to meet one, but they're totally worth it, and everybody that meets them falls in love.